And I see Andrew is here as well. Welcome, Andrew. Okay, so let's have a look. So welcome everyone. This is actually the last webinar in our current spring series for our Asia webinars. And this actual webinar, some of you here today might have registered for this a long time ago, because this is actually one I had to postpone, unfortunately, but we are doing it today instead. So thank you for your patience if you registered a long time ago. And I hope you enjoy the webinar. So we will be back in a couple of months. So make sure you keep your eyes on our Facebook page and on our webinar page. I just put them into the chat box there. So keep your eyes on these two places, and then you will know when we will be back in a couple of months. Okay, so maybe some of you know me, maybe some of you don't. My name is Will Lashett, and I am an academic consultant and teacher trainer for National Geographic Learning. I'm originally from the UK, but I live and work in Singapore. I've been in Singapore since 2006, and I've been working in English language teaching since 2001, when I started teaching in a hagwon in Korea, and I was there for almost 5 years. I was in Korea. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about you. Okay, so this is a question we do every time. So please, can you just, you should see a poll on your screen, just interested to see who we've got here today. So please let me know which of these segments you teach in. If you're not a teacher, that's fine. You can put I'm not a teacher. If you teach many of these segments, please indicate all the ones that you teach. And I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Let's have a look in the chat box. Rusella said, I'm interested in Japan because there's so much to learn about their culture of collectivism versus individualism. Yes, that's a very interesting point. Okay, hi John, in the Philippines, the Pearl of the Orient Seas, and it is a very beautiful country, the Philippines. Okay, I think that's probably enough time. Okay, so let's end the poll and have a look. Okay, we can see that today we have got 46% of you are teaching young learners, 41% teens, 30% university, and 13% adults. So really the materials we're looking at today are suitable for teens, university, and adults, so the majority. But the concepts I'm talking about really can be applied to young learners as well. Okay, so thank you very much for letting me know who I'm talking to. Okay, and let's continue. So yeah, the content I'm using today is from a series of readers. Okay, so these are, it's not a course book, it's a reading series, and it's called the China Showcase Library. And as you might have guessed, it focuses on China, and it covers a series of high interest topics in the areas of technology, art and literature, wisdom and beliefs, and folk customs. So these are 24-page graded readers. They contain really interesting readings, beautiful photography, and a range of exercises there to support learning. And I think one of the benefits of using this kind of reader or any reading learning materials about other countries and other cultures is that it will raise your level of cultural awareness. And I'm going to talk about why this is important a bit later on today. So apart from cultural awareness, my title also mentions future readiness. So what is that? I mean, there are lots of ways to define it, but basically it means being ready for whatever happens in your life. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts here. So can anyone type into the chat box for me a word or a phrase which you think of when you hear the term future ready or future readiness? Can you type in something that you think about? What does it make you think about? What kind of skills does it mean? Amir says adaptability. That's excellent, Amir. Yeah, I agree. Preparation, right? Being prepared. Soft skills, progress, says Claire, intercultural competence, says Chica, transferable skills, technology, resilience, collaboration, global awareness. Fantastic. Yeah. So you've all obviously either attended one of our webinars before, or you're very knowledgeable on the subject. Sustainability, flexibility. Yeah, some great ideas. I'm going to put just a few ideas, my ideas up on the board, on the screen. One of the things, I've done quite a lot of reading, and almost everywhere that I look about Future Ready, something linked to this idea of lifelong learning, or upskilling, or reskilling, or relearning, or adaptability is also linked to this, right? We have to learn new skills all the time. So the idea that we can't just study one thing 20 years ago and then just go get through our lives just on that knowledge. So this idea of lifelong learning, and I think linked to that very strongly is the idea of the growth mindset, always moving forwards. So we need lots of different skills to be ready for the future. Some of you mentioned life skills and soft skills. I did a webinar a couple of weeks ago about social emotional learning. I think this is very strongly linked to the skills that we need in our future, well, in our lives now and in the future. Critical thinking, some of you mentioned already. And also what I'm talking about today partly is cultural awareness, and some of you also put this is linked into being a global citizen, right? That we need to understand people from other countries. So the point here is that to be successful in life in the 21st century, we need much more than just academic knowledge. So we need things like life skills, social emotional learning, critical thinking, creativity, all of these things we need. So there are many frameworks out there that show us skills that our learners need to be successful in the 21st century. And here is one which is by the World Bank. I hope that's big enough for you to read. And it identifies these 12 key skills identified by the World Bank, which they say that ministries of education should try to integrate into their curriculums to promote future student success, or to make them future ready. So if I want to link this framework, as I said, there are many, I've just chosen this one. If I want to link the idea of cultural awareness to future readiness, I think this is a good place to start. So let's have a look at the skills in red, which are about employability. So obviously, for our learners, one of the main reasons they're learning English is to help them get a job. So employability is really important. And I think we can say that these skills like cooperation and negotiation, okay, these are going to be, if we're working with people from other countries, cultural awareness is definitely going to help us, okay, to negotiate and to cooperate people because we understand them better. If we look under purple, okay, active citizenship, we've got skills like empathy and respect for diversity. So obviously there's a very strong link between understanding other cultures and being able to empathize with them and having respect for that culture. So these two things are definitely covered by cultural awareness. And if we have a look at one more in green, okay, under personal empowerment, if we look at, we've got a skill like communication, okay, and obviously this is going to be facilitated by having a better understanding of other cultures. So all of these areas will be greatly improved by cultural awareness, and therefore the ability to communicate effectively with other people in English. So I put here what will happen in the future, and obviously we don't know, and obviously a lot of things will happen in the future, but something I think we can be fairly sure will happen in the future is that we're more likely to have to interact with people from other countries and other cultures due to globalization, due to the fact that, no country can survive in isolation, and more we are depending on other people to get what we need. And to do this successfully, we need to develop an understanding of other parts of the world. We can do this by reading about a country's customs, their beliefs, their achievements, and their literature. And I'm going to talk about a few of these things today. So how do we increase understanding of other cultures? Well, I read an article recently about cultural misunderstandings or problems that come in because we don't understand each other. It can lead to confusion, can lead to mistrust, discrimination, racism, even fear of people from other countries. That's what we call xenophobia. And there was a quote in the article that I really liked at the end of the article. Now, unfortunately, I had a look yesterday and I couldn't actually find that article that I read. So I'm going to paraphrase the quote for you. And this is what the quote said. This is in my words, paraphrased. It was something like, most people don't realize or don't really understand that people from other countries are just normal people. I'm not going to explain, okay, what this means. What it means in the context of the article I read is that people all over the world are basically the same. So people everywhere have the same hopes, the same dreams, they have the same fears. We have the same ambitions, we have the same feelings, the same emotions. So people all over the world are the same as you in all of these respects. But the customs in other countries are different to yours. The communication style is different to yours. The culture that those people grow up in is very different to yours. So my point is, if we learn to understand the culture from a place, we learn to understand the people. And if we understand the people, we can get along and we can work with them and we can do business with them. So when we think about people from other countries, you know, it's tempting and it's easy to point out what is different about them. You know, people might say they look different, they sound different, or they think differently. But if we look for the things that are the same between us, if we look for, you know, the things that we share, then that is a good starting point for mutual respect and mutual understanding. So I don't know. I hope you agree with that. I thought this was interesting when I read the article, and we're gonna look now about some of those things that make us the same wherever we are from. Okay, so let me show you an example of that. So I've put something on the screen now. So what can you see? Okay, so this is a dish and it has lots of different names. Can anyone type in the name of this dish? Marifel says hot pot. Kitty says hot pot. Kitty's put an exclamation mark there. Hot pot, hot pot. Yeah, sometimes different names like steamboat. I sometimes hear it called over here. Yeah, steamboat. There we go. So lots of different names. And this is a dish, a Chinese dish. It's very important in Chinese culture. And the name of this reader is called Let's Have Hot Pot. Can you tell me in the chat box? Oh, Natira's put shabu, shabu, shabu. Interesting. And that's one of my next questions. Can you tell me what is a hot pot? Okay, what makes a hot pot? What makes it different to other meals? In your own words. What makes a hot pot different to a normal meal you might eat? The ingredients, a mixture of various ingredients in one bowl, a mixture of everything, right? So it's got lots of ingredients, right? It's thinner than a stew. Chica's getting similar to my opinion. It's the serving style, right? Right, Cherry says there's choice. You choose what you want to eat. Gloria says you've got a shared, right, share, this word share. We've got a shared pot of soup that you dip different ingredients in. Inclusiveness, Joyce, right, you're getting different soup you can choose. You need at least 2 people. It's DIY, variety of ingredients shared with many people. Right, it's a buffet style of meal. So you're getting towards my kind of way of thinking here. So for me, when I look at a hot pot, what makes it a hot pot? I think it is a shared meal. You don't eat this hot pot on your own, right? And you cook it together in the middle of the table. You all cook it together. You cook it together, you share it together, you eat it together. Okay, you have a lot of choice. It's an elaborate meal, which is great for sharing, right? Cindy's got it. A dish meant to be shared by lots of people. Okay, now let me ask you another question. Do other countries have a similar meal to this? So how about Japan? I noticed a couple of you mentioned a Japanese dish earlier, which is similar to this. And it began with an S and it was called shabu shabu. Okay, or there's another one there, nabe. I don't know what nabe is, but I'm assuming that Andrea knows more than me. So I know shabu shabu is a similar dish that you cook in the middle of the table with a group of people, shabu shabu. Any other countries which have a similar concept? Doesn't necessarily have to be soup, but a dish which is cooked all together in the middle of the table. Okay, suki, shabu shabu in Taiwan, yakiniku. Yes, yakiniku is a kind of Japanese barbecue, right? And the same in Korea, a Korean barbecue, something like samgyeopsal you cook. Right, that's here in Thailand. We have mukata, right? Yes, mukata. That's very popular here in Singapore at the moment, mukata. So a similar idea, right? But it's not just Asian countries. How about, I don't know if any of you have been to Switzerland. There's a famous dish there that you can cook. You can either have a kind of cheese sauce, or you can have oil or chocolate, and you dip things into that. Yeah, Ranald's got it. It's a fondue, right? So it's a very similar concept. So in maybe not in every country, okay, Zebo, but in many countries around the world, we have this concept where we cook something in the middle of the table. I would even say, I mentioned Korean barbecue, but I'd even say that a Western barbecue has similar attributes, right? No one goes out into the garden, into their backyard, and lights the barbecue and has a barbecue on their own. No, nobody does that. If you're on your own, you just have a sandwich. It's a barbecue is a group meal, and you all help with the cooking and you all share that food together. So I would even say a Western barbecue is similar in that way to a hot pot. Okay, so here we have a very special Chinese dish. I've taught hundreds or maybe thousands of Chinese students in my career. And for me, in my opinion, hot pot is the most important and most well-liked dish, certainly from the students that I've met, the Chinese students, right? It's really, really important, special dish in China. Now, maybe you've never had this dish, but as I just said just now, you've probably had something similar to this, right? The concept of the dish is pretty universal. We can understand that people like it because it's not just a meal, but as this image shows us, it's a shared experience that brings people together. We cook the food together, we serve each other, we eat together, and it helps build our relationships with others. And of course, most important thing is it tastes really good as well. So here I'm focusing on food, which is a very important part of culture. And most people find this relatable. Most people find it interesting. And the images of the food I'm showing you, or the images of people enjoying the food, they provide a hook. It draws us in, it motivates us to find out more about that culture. And one way to do that is to get students, get learners to relate to the material. So I'm curious about you. Okay, have any of you here today, have any of you had a hot pot before? So type into the chat box, have you had a hot pot before? And if you have, where did you have it? Okay, when did you have it? Who did you eat the hot pot with? Okay, tell me a little bit about your experience. Did you like it? Why did you like it? So just give me a little bit of information about that hot pot that you had with family and friends, Sydney. Exactly. I had it with my family at home. I had it in Taiwan with Taiwanese students at Heidi Lau, right? Yeah, we've got Heidi Lau here in Singapore as well. It's a great restaurant. In Malaysia with my Chinese Malaysian friends. Sherry says, I love spicy soup. Right, and yes, okay, so the good thing about hot pot is you can have different soups. So the people who like spicy soup can have it spicy, right? I had it with my family. It was fun, right? It was, yes, it's a fun meal. It's an enjoyable meal. It was delicious, says Gloria. We had to be careful about some ingredients as some family members have allergies. Right, that's interesting. Yeah, that's right. You have to be careful. Winter hot pot. Okay, Reynolds says, with colleagues here in Thailand, it made our bond stronger, right? So team building, right? A team building meal. Great, so that's really interesting. And we've got some questions here actually from the reader, which I'm going to ask you as well. Okay, so have a look at question number 1. Can you tell me, why do you think that hot pot is so popular in China? What do you think? What is it about hot pot that Chinese people love so much? Oh, Hong Wang says, wedding party. In parties, we have a hot pot. So something the Chinese love about it, it's hot. It's social, great. It brings people together, exactly. All you can eat, like people like eating a lot. And as we can see, these reasons that you're giving me It's social, it brings people together, it's fresh, you can eat a lot, reunion. And of course, these can be applied to China, but I think we can apply these to people all over the world. And it's an example of a similarity that people share in every culture, right? This kind of meal brings us together. It forces or helps us to communicate. Great. And that leads into question 2. Why is hot pot such a good place to share and build friendship? Okay, because you're sitting around a table together. You've got something to focus on. Okay, you can talk about the food. Okay, it gives you instantly something you're sharing. It's fun. So all of these reasons, right? It's a kind of eat. Oh, I love that. Okay, eating, not meet and greet. Okay, eat and meet. I love that. And we have a final question here, a personalization. Would you like to eat it? If so, what kind would you like to eat? Okay, so all of these questions we're trying to make the content relatable. Okay, we already talked about it. Which meals are similar to this around the world? Fondue, mookata. Okay, so the theme of food is interesting, it's universal, it's relatable. And in the context of my webinar today, by making connections between our lives and the lives of others, we can understand them better. And in future, when we need to connect with foreigners for our jobs, when we need to communicate with them, we've not just topics of conversations to help build relationships, but also we have the experience of analyzing different cultures to see how we are similar to them. As somebody put here, Marifel put, everyone likes to eat. Exactly, that's exactly my point. Okay, perfect, right. Let's move on to the next bit. So we talked a little bit about customs. Next, we're going to talk about beliefs. And I want you to type into the chat box for me. Okay, what can you see here? What are we looking at now? So we've done food. Okay, now what are we looking at? I'm sure you recognize we're looking at a panda. Exactly. It's a baby panda. Pandas are adorable. Chika, you've preempted my next question for you. What kind of words, give me a word to describe a panda cub or a baby panda, a panda cub? Cute, 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 adorable, adorable, adorable. Bumbling, that's a good word. Yeah. Yeah, they're not very elegant, are they? They're certainly not elegant. Lovely, huggable, chubby, fluffy. Right, okay, and unique. Okay, great. So you're giving me a lot of words there. Exotic, chubby. Yeah, they are chubby. Black and white. Right, good. Are there lots of pandas in the wild? Friendly. This panda cub is very friendly. Are there a lot of pandas in the wild? No, there aren't, right? No. Okay, can you give me a word that might describe them in that respect? So we couldn't call them a common, right? Wayne's got it. Okay, endangered, right? A lot of you are typing in endangered. So these are the kind of words I expected: cute, adorable, endangered. And I agree with those words. And in fact, the whole world agrees with you. Does anybody recognize this image on the top right of the screen now? So this is the logo, the symbol for WWF, and WWF is not the World Wrestling Federation, or it used to be. This is the Worldwide Fund for Nature, and they have been around since the 1960s, and they picked the panda as their logo. And I'm going to ask you about that later on. So they picked that as the logo. So let's try a few of these inference questions here. Okay, critical thinking questions. Why do you think that the Worldwide Fund for Nature, why do you think that they picked the panda as their symbol, as their logo? So this is the first question here from the reader. Why do you think they picked that symbol? So the Worldwide Fund for Nature, their mission is to protect endangered animals, right? So why do you think they picked the panda? Let's see. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just to hear your opinion. We're inferring meaning. See if anyone can give me their opinion. Okay, pandas stand for hope in conservation for wildlife. That's right, Wayne. Because they're cute, it has marketability, says Gloria. It appeals to the public, right? Everyone agrees pandas are cute, right? Pandas are endearing. They're endangered, yes. It's black and white. Well, yes, that's actually a good point. It's easy to make into a logo because it's black and white, right? It was extremely endangered as a symbol of endangered animals, right? So we're getting some similar answers here because it was endangered, because it's endearing, it's a wonderful symbol, it's one that everybody globally finds cute, okay, and perhaps it's easy to draw, it's black and white, okay. Can anyone, let's have a look at question number 2. Can you give me a possible reason why the animal was endangered? So why do you think this panda was endangered? Okay, habitat destruction, poaching, being hunted, right? Yes, being hunted, being poached, no habitat, deforestation, destroyed its habitat. Amir says not mating, and that actually, you're right, that is actually one of the problems. Climate change, yeah, reproduction rate. So a lot of you are obviously very knowledgeable about this. And yeah, so yeah, food shortage. Okay, so we've got a lot of different reasons why, okay, it might have been endangered, right? So let's talk a little bit about what people, okay, believe to be important. So I've talked about beliefs here, and part of our belief system are our values, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about what people value, okay, around the world. So here we can see a young woman, and I'd like you to tell me, how do you think this woman is feeling? Happy and relieved. Okay, happy and relieved. Yeah, she looks happy, doesn't she? Can anyone have a guess for me? Why do you think she's feeling like that? Why is she so happy? Why is she so relieved? What's she doing? Have a guess. It's not easy to guess. No more, because she took off her face mask. Because she finished working. A panda's given birth. Good guess. Baby panda just born. She's recovered. Okay, yeah, she's just recovered. So, okay, new baby. Let's have a look. Okay. Oh, look, that's right. She is playing with the panda. So this is a photo which is taken in a panda center, the Oolong Panda Center in China. And she works there, and she's holding a baby, beautiful panda cub. And of course, I'm sure you would feel happy just like her if you were holding one of those. And they're working in this center to breed pandas so that they don't become extinct. Okay, so let's think about your country. Are there any animals that are endangered there in your country? And if so, maybe you can type into the chat box. So I'm from the UK. We have an animal there, the golden eagle. Marifel put the Philippine eagle is endangered in the Philippines, right? So in the UK, we have golden eagles, but they're extremely endangered there. I was lucky enough to see one when I was in Scotland on a boat a few years ago. Cindy says the tiger, the rhinoceros, polar bear. Is this in your country, Andrea? Polar bear, Malayan tiger, Persian leopards. Okay, great. So we got lots of animals coming in. Monkey, a kind of monkey with a red bum. Andrea, right? Okay, Andrea is Alaska. Okay, perfect. Komodo dragon. Okay, so we've got a lot of different endangered animals here. And what do we think about this? Do you think that as a society, should we make an effort to preserve these animals? You know, should we try hard to preserve the animals for the future? And if so, why? Yes. We all say yes. Okay, why should we think that? Why should we try to do that? Amir has put life without animals would be like a hot pot without ingredients. That is a very good analogy, Amir. I'm very impressed. It's a kind of identity. Yes, Marifel, that's interesting, isn't it? Because we do, the Chinese are very proud of pandas, okay, and countries who have a unique animal, one that's endemic to that country, they are very proud of it. Wei Feng says for our children. Flora says to keep diversity, right? Animal and plant diversity, yeah, to maintain the eco balance for the next generation. So lots of reasons why we should be doing this. And do we think, what do you think about this? Can we assume that people all around the world feel like that, feel the same as you, feel that we should be preserving animals? What do you think? Do we think we can agree that people in every country feel like that? Okay, so I'm getting some no's. Okay, not really. Right, and I agree with you. We definitely can't say that everybody feels like that, for sure. Not everybody feels like that. But probably in every country, or definitely in every country, there are people, and most people who are aware of the problems and see animals, have seen these animals, would agree that we should protect them. So I think we can say that there are people in every country who are aware of the issues and who care about it, although not everybody does. And it doesn't matter where you're from. Okay, so my next point is that if we want to identify more with other cultures, okay, this is again what I'm talking about. We want to find things that we share, and we want to values that we share, okay, across all cultures, right? My next point is that if we want to identify more with other cultures, okay, reading about real people, okay, is a very good way to do that. So we like reading about real people. Like we'd like to find out about this lady here in the Panda Center because we can identify with real people, we can empathize with them, and we're inspired by other people. And real people mean that the stories are real. And students can go on the internet and search for the stories and learn more about them. So this image that we're looking at here, this is from the China Showcase Library Reader, which is called Pandas, China's Ambassadors. And it also features National Geographic photographer Amy Vitale. And here she is, okay, working at the Oolong Nature Reserve in Sichuan. And here she is dressed as a panda. So I'm interested to hear, why do you think Amy is dressed as a panda here? She's a photographer. Why is she dressed up as a panda? To make the baby panda feel safe. Right, okay, to make the baby panda feel safe so the baby panda trusts her. To make the baby pandas think that she is a panda, to make them think that she's one of them. So I think pandas, yes, to be one of them, right? Pandas, they might be a little bit gullible. They might believe, might believe that. I'm not sure you could do this with tigers, but anyway, we can easily, so my point here, we can easily search for Amy Vitale pandas, or we can search for the Wolong Nature Reserve online. We can Google them, and we can be inspired, as Marinella said here, go online and find out more about the people and places. They are Googleable, aren't they? So we can go online, we can Google them, and we can find out about these things. And it's not just real people. We could also talk about real animals, okay? So in this reader, Pandas, China's Ambassadors, we're not just learning about generic pandas, right? So in a lot of books, you find, information about pandas. They're black and white, they eat bamboo, okay, they weigh this much. But it's not just about that, is it? This reader is about real, even famous pandas, and it connects us to their stories. So this panda was born in Adventure World in Wakayama in Japan, and this baby panda was born in August 2018. And Adventure World in Japan, they actually had a national contest to name the panda. And they received over 120,000 entries to this competition so that they could choose the name Saihin for the baby panda. 120,000 people entered this competition, and this is the name that they chose. So we can see how much interest this baby panda generated. And you can, again, you can go online and you can find out about Saihin the panda. And you can find similar stories all over the world. Zoos all over the world celebrate when they get new pandas, and people, they come from everywhere to visit these new pandas in the zoo. We just had one born here in Singapore for the first time, and it was big news here, the new baby panda. So just as the WWF have done, we can look at the panda as a symbol for people's interest in animal conservation worldwide. And no matter what we think about other cultures in their treatment of animals globally, we value the preservation of endangered species like the panda. And I have some good news for you here as well. In the year 2016, as I found out in this reader here, the panda was actually taken off the endangered list. So there's been massive amounts of progress made in the last 50 years. And it has changed the panda from a symbol of animals near extinction to a symbol of hope for all other species worldwide. And that illustrates that we all have shared beliefs and shared values no matter where we are from. So in terms of being future ready, I would say that a global mindset based on global beliefs will help our students to be successful. Okay, so finally, I'm going to talk about literature. Just check what the time is. Okay, perfect. And yeah, we're going to talk about some famous literature here. So I've got another question for you. So does anybody recognize the character on your screen here? Sue says it is the Monkey King. Sherry says it's the Monkey King. That's right. And the Monkey King is a character from which famous literature work or which famous novel? Shan Wukong, Journey to the West. That's right. And this is a very, very famous novel indeed, Journey to the West. And let me say, so it might not be obvious, immediately obvious, how literature, and in this case, ancient literature, can help our students to be future ready. So there is, of course, the argument that to understand the future, we have to understand the past. But I think there's a lot more to it than that. So first, we're going to have a look at the story of the Monkey King. And the title of this reader is Monkey King, a Chinese superhero. And I like this title because it is drawing a parallel between something ancient and something modern. Okay, the superhero is a very popular modern phenomenon, and we're linking something old to something new to make it more relatable. So this reader, let me give you some background. This reader integrates historical facts with legend. So this reader starts off by introducing the real people that this novel was based on. So this is Xuanzang. Okay, please excuse my poor pronunciation. So Xuanzang is was a Buddhist monk, and he was born in the year 602. Okay, so that's 1400 years ago. And this reader talks about real people, okay, so Xuanzang, and it also talks about real places. So the story starts in a place called the Yulin Caves or Yulin Grottos in northwestern China. And some of these caves, some of these grottos are over 1,300 or 1,300 years old. And this is a real place, okay, where the story begins. And within these grottos, okay, we can talk about some real things that we can see there. And here is a cave painting from inside the Yulin caves. And on this cave painting, we can see the monk, Xuanzang, and he is standing beside a white horse. And behind the white horse, we can see a monkey who is wearing clothes. And this is the character, the Monkey King. So here we have the real character, the real person, with the myth from the story, the Monkey King. So this monk, Xuanzang, he spent 19 years traveling on a mission to translate the Buddhist scriptures from their home in India into Chinese, because they didn't have a good translation, even though China was Buddhist. And his story this 19-year mission that he went on and all the things that happened to him, the story became a legend. And all of these amazing adventures and extra traveling companions, the White Horse and the Monkey King, were later added to this. And here we can see these characters. Here's the Monkey King and the White Horse. So in turn, these stories became what we know as the Journey to the West. And the story, the Journey to the West, is set in the 7th century, but we think the full version was published in 1592. Okay, so I've just given you the background information, and we've got a little fact check on the screen here, and I want you to see if you were listening, if you were paying attention. And obviously, normally our students would read this themselves, but we're doing it slightly differently. So can any of you tell me how old are the oldest Yulin grottos or the oldest Yulin caves? Great, someone's got it. I can't read it because it's not in the English alphabet, but yes, congratulations. 1300 years old is the correct answer. Oh, I noticed that person only set that to hosts and panelists. Yes, Cherry, you've got it. 1300 years. So I did mention it earlier, 1300 years. Perfect. Let's have a look at number 2. So Xuanzang, the monk, how long did his journey take? So I mentioned this a couple of times when I was telling you. Okay, 90. It wasn't 90 years. It sounds similar. Flora's got it. Gloria's got it. Okay, it took 19 years. So he was traveling 19 years through India, okay, to get the translations of the Buddhist scriptures. That's great. And number 3, when was Journey to the West written? Again, that is quite a difficult question. Oh, Jang, you're very close. Yes, Cherry, you've got it. Okay, I did say the first full version was published in 1592. Well done. Okay, but there were shorter versions or folk tales or oral, the stories were turned orally for a long time before that. Yeah, but we think the first full publication was 1592. Great, so here the reader is giving background context to the novel, and that's important to understand to get the most out of the story. So we're going to have a look at the story because I love the story. So I'm going to tell you in my own words, I'm going to briefly have a look at the story of the Monkey King. So his name was Sun Wukong, and the Monkey King was born from a magic stone on top of the mountain of flowers and fruit. We can see the stone here. And he was clever, and he became very powerful, and he became the king of the monkeys. But the king of the monkeys was sad because he knew that one day he and all the other monkeys would die. Later, on his adventures, the dragons of the sea gave him this magic staff. And the magic staff, he could change into any size he wanted, as big or as small as he wanted. And he could use it as a very powerful weapon. And he kept this staff behind his ear, tucked behind his ear. One day, the Monkey King was summoned by death. Here he is. And he was taken down into the world of darkness, the underworld. And the world of darkness was full of demons that you can see standing around here. And this is what happened when the Monkey King was down in the world of darkness. So I'm going to give you a minute to read the text, which is from the reader. And when you've read it, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Okay, so take a minute to read that. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So my first question for you is, was Sun Wukong, okay, the Monkey King, was he scared of the demons? When he's down in the underworld, was he scared? Nope, he definitely wasn't. Why not? Why wasn't he scared? How do we know that? What did he do? How do we know he wasn't scared? Okay, Cindy's got it. Okay, so we know he wasn't scared because he began terrorizing the demons with his staff. Okay, so he started beating up the demons. Okay, next question for you. It says the Monkey King was angry. What made the Monkey King angry? What made him angry? So it wasn't the demons. Yes, okay, we've got it. So he found his name in the book of death, and he was angry because he saw in the book, which was written when he would die, it told him that he would only live for 342 years. So what did he do when he saw that? What did he do? You can see it just next here. He grabbed the book and he crossed his name off, okay, which means that he's not in the book of death anymore, which means he can't die, which means he became immortal. Okay, next. So he's down there in the world of darkness. He's made himself immortal. What does he do next? How did he leave? How did he get out of there? How did he escape? So he fought his way out. So he's just him by himself. And he fought his way out of the world of darkness against death and all of his demons. So I just find this amazing. So the Monkey King went down to the underworld. He beat up all of the demons. He cheated death, and then he escaped completely on his own. And just in case you thought that the kingdom of heaven, okay, might do better against the Monkey King. So he's been down into the underworld. Now he's up in the king of heaven. And just in case you thought they would do better, they didn't. So later in the story, the kingdom of heaven, they imprison the Monkey King in a furnace. And they keep him there for 49 days inside this furnace on fire. But then he escapes from the furnace and he completely destroys the entire heavenly army all by himself. So what a fantastic character he is. And he really is a superhero. And even better, in this reader, the story is given with all of the context and all of the background information that our learners need to learn about the real people, the real places, and the real things that the culture that brought about from the culture that brought this character to life. Okay, so I want to show how we can use targeted questions to guide learning and critical thinking, okay, for deeper analysis here. So here is a good example of a targeted question at the end of the reader. So we're asking students to summarize why this novel has been so popular for so long and popular globally, not just in China. So have a look at this and can you tell me what's the first, so in this paragraph from the reader, what is the first reason that the author gives for this novel's popularity? Let's see if you can find that. Why has it been popular for so long? Fantastic elements. Gloria says the human element, and I agree. So the human element. So readers of this novel from all over the world, they recognize human characteristics in the non-human characters in the journey to the West. So we identify with the Monkey King, even though it was written centuries ago. And I don't mean by that we identify with going to the underworld and fighting demons. Of course, we don't, because that's completely unrealistic. But we identify with the character of the Monkey King. We identify with his humanity and with his human development, with his feelings, with his progression. We identify with that character. Okay, let's have a look at the second paragraph. So what is the second reason that this novel is so popular? So have a look at this paragraph here. In this short paragraph here. So the first one was the human element. Okay, Gloria's got it. Okay, it's talking about true psychological and philosophical depth. Yeah, so I think what we can say here, we can say it's more than just a story. Okay, so, and as Gloria says, it's talking about psychological and philosophical depth in its approach to the human condition. So what this means is that we learn something about real life through literature. And that has always been true, that great fiction can teach us about real life. It can teach us just as much as we can learn from factual texts. And we talk a lot these days about how the world is changing fast. And of course, the world is changing very fast. But literature like this shows us that we can see that some things remain the same throughout time, okay, throughout history. And the human condition, okay, what it means to be human, this is something that remains the same, and it's something which is the same the world over. Okay, the final reason, what's the final reason, this last paragraph, the final reason this is so popular, the novel's so popular, can anyone find it in here? The main reason, it says, the main reason this is so popular is because of Sun Wukong. It's the character himself. So people relate to his strengths, but even more so, they relate to his flaws. You know, the things he does wrong, okay? He makes lots of mistakes. He's a flawed hero. He's relatable, right? So we relate to his flaws. We relate to his development and his improvement over time. So in a sense, he is a realistic character, despite the fact that he's superhuman. His feats are superhuman. He's a realistic character in terms of, his character development. And the connections that we can make with this character, or the empathy we can share with a mythical character, is good for our students' social and emotional learning skills. And to return to my earlier theme, we're looking past the differences to find the similarities. And these are great discussion points which the average reader would miss without this task here to elicit them. And they reinforce that all cultures share similar values. They help develop our students' worldview, and it helps develop their knowledge base. So this also requires analysis of the text and critical thinking skills, which help learners become future ready. Okay, so here are some final questions that we're going to look at, designed to promote critical thinking and reflection on the text. And these are open-ended questions designed to promote deep thinking. So we've got here, why do we think the Monkey King was on a cave, a painting in the cave? Okay, an open-ended question to get students to think about that. Number two, what can we infer about Chinese culture based on the knowledge that this character is an icon? So really interesting questions, open-ended questions, which involve lots of critical thinking. And my favorite question here, do you have a favorite superhero? How is your superhero different from or similar to the Monkey King? And this last question, what is a hero to you? What makes a hero? So making a connection between the past and the present. As I said earlier, superheroes are a modern phenomena. Thinking about the concept of what a hero is to you, personalizing this. So let's try this last one. Do you have a favorite superhero? So in the chat box, do you have a favorite superhero? And if so, do they have any similarities or differences with the Monkey King? So we might say something like Superman, okay, he can fly, Monkey King can fly, right? So think Andy Murray. Okay, so whoever this is typing the Chinese name, you're only sending you these messages for me. No one else can see them. But they've put Andy Murray, the tennis player. He's flawed, but he's righteous. That's great. Marifel, not a fan of superheroes. Yeah, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. If you're not a fan of superheroes, you can answer this last one. What is a hero to you? What makes a hero? Cindy says she likes Spider-Man. Okay, why? Is Spider-Man similar or different to the Monkey King? Okay, so while I'm waiting for you. Can either type in superpower to help people. Right. Superhero is kind, brave, good heart, doesn't think about himself. Right. Someone who saves me. Someone who has a superpower. But what about not a superhero, just a normal hero? Okay. What about a normal hero? What do you consider a hero? And while you're answering that question, I'm just going to finish talking about this. So these critical thinking questions, they're a great way to generate more interest in the text. We're personalizing the text. We're making connections between our lives and this ancient content. And we're giving students practice in these future-ready skills, such as inference, comparing and contrasting ideas, analytical thinking. And all of these skills help us get ready for the future, but they also enhance the reading experience. Overcoming fears. I heard a friend, Marilyn says, I heard a friend saying his mother is his hero. Right. And that's very common, I think, to look up to people in our families. And we should do, right? Because they do everything for us. If you think about your parents, they are heroes. They've provided for you everything that you need, right? Overcoming fears. Great. Marianne says, for me, a hero is someone who's willing to sacrifice himself to save others, to make sacrifice. Marinella says that's an interesting perspective. Great. I'm glad you find it interesting. Gloria, heroes better the world around them. Right. So a hero is someone who makes the world better. Cindy says someone who has a big heart and is willing to help. Zenaida says someone who inspires others. Okay, some great answers here. Altruism, someone who's altruistic. Fantastic. Okay, so basically, it's kind of bringing me to the end. So I hope you've enjoyed today's content. I hope you found it interesting. And I hope I've given you something to think about, that as educators, you know, we should be trying to make our education, our students' education, more holistic. You know, our learners will use English as a tool in their lives, as a communication tool. And if you're learning English as a communication tool, we're certain that they're going to be communicating with people from different cultural backgrounds to their own. So being culturally aware and understanding what makes us similar or what makes us different to people from other cultures, and understanding those cultures, is a very useful future skill, future-ready skill. So I just want to introduce again the content we've been looking at today. So the China Showcase Library, it's a new and exciting collaboration between National Geographic Learning and our partner, the People's Education Press. And it's a collection of readers focused on China, covering these high interest topics: technology, art, literature, beliefs, folk customs, etc. And the China Showcase Library readers, they contain exciting reading selections, beautiful photography, and a really well thought out range of activities, critical thinking activities to support learning. So these activities cultivate students' reading competence and promote higher order thinking skills. So here are the 4 genres that they cover, okay, as I mentioned earlier, and you can see all the different titles up on the screen here. They're really, really interesting and really beautiful readers, okay? They are basically designed for 3 CEFR levels, from B1 up to C1 level. So it's for slightly higher level students, okay, kind of like higher intermediate or intermediate level up. And they're designed for really teenage and adult learners, so kind of from about 13 years and up. So a little bit of housekeeping. So we will, as always, send you a follow-up email tomorrow with links to the certificate and to the recording. So you will receive that by the end of the day tomorrow. Okay. If you've got any questions for me, okay, feel free to type them in. I can see people saying that it was an insightful session. I'm really glad to hear that. While we think of any other questions, I'm going to launch another little poll for you here. So I'm just interested to know, those of you who are here today, why did you attend today's webinar? So I've put a few different reasons. Maybe you've been to one of our webinars before. Maybe you saw the topic and you thought it was interesting. Maybe someone recommended it to you. Maybe you've been to one of my webinars before, you recognized me and you wanted to come back and see another one. Maybe you saw the advertisement, or maybe there's a completely different reason. So it'd just be useful for us to understand a little bit about why you're here today. So I'm going to leave that up on the screen and let you fill that in. I've got here upcoming webinars. Actually, as I mentioned earlier, this is our final webinar of this season of the spring, although here in the tropics we don't have spring, but the spring season. And yeah, just to let you know that if you keep your eye, as I mentioned earlier as well, on our Facebook page and on our webinar page, which I've just put in the box here, the chat box, if you keep your eye on these two places, you will know when we're coming back. I think we'll be back in about 2 months' time. I think we'll be back at the end of August. So yeah, we hope to see you again at some of our future webinars. Hong Nguyen says, any readers about culture of other countries? So we do have other reading series, Hong. But this one that I showed you today, the China Showcase Library, it's quite unique in the fact that it goes into a lot more detail about one country's culture. We do have a lot of other readers which talk generally about other cultures, but this is certainly one. We have, like, for example, the Footprint Library, which does include other countries as well. But this is kind of a unique program that we have. Okay, anything else? Yeah, a couple of other things I want to show you. We've been talking about this quite a few times recently, but if this might be a title, if you're teaching online or if you're teaching hybrid, we have this very, very useful professional development book, which is available, authored by Joan Kan-Shing and Jared Borup. And that is something that if you're looking for practical tips to help you with online or blended learning, this is the title you should be checking out. You can find it by going to eltngl.com, breaking through the screen. Fantastic resource for teachers. And finally, yeah, I hope that you can follow us on Facebook, eltngl.com, Facebook. And yeah, and we hope to see you again soon. So I think that basically brings me to the end of my presentation. If you are interested in finding out more about China Showcase Library, or maybe one of our other reader programs, such as the Footprint Library that I mentioned just there, I can reshare. Hang on, I'm going to reshare my screen because someone said that they didn't get that. If you are interested in finding out more, let us know. So you can contact us directly. You can send me an email. Okay, so you can reply to the email that I sent you as a reminder to attend this webinar. Here we go. Let me just put this back on the screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's the QR code someone was asking for just now. Yeah, so if you'd like to know more about this program or about anything else, okay, related to us, anything we can help with, you can just send me an email, okay, and I can put you in touch with the relevant person. All right, so thank you very much. Okay, I haven't checked the time. I think it's probably, yeah, 11:04. There we go. Right, so we've just timing's pretty good there. Okay, thanks very much for joining us today, and we really look forward to seeing you again sometime in the future. Have a great day, everyone, and have a good time over the next couple of months, and we will see you again then. So that's all from me today. Okay, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, goodbye.